Hi, Bill here, 223 Nationalities, and today I'm answering the question, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know? If you see me on the street or out in the car or in the cafe sometimes talking to people, sometimes they say to me, yeah, but how do you know? You know, life can seem pretty black and white, you know, yes and no, knowledge, no knowledge, up and down, life and death, love and hate, positive and negative. So how do you know? How do you know that God is real? How do you know anything? René Descartes, wasn't it, in the 17th century, coined that phrase, I think, therefore I am. You know, when in response to the skeptics who said you can never really know or be certain about anything. In the Latin, it's cogito ergo sum, or in the English pronunciation of that, people go cogito ergo sum, but it still means the same thing. I think, therefore I am. Or if you're in French, you would go je pense donc je suis. I think, therefore I am. My French is not so brilliant, but that's what it sounds like, roughly. I think, therefore I am. So we must be able to have some absolute knowledge. I think, therefore I am. We do tests, we do in science, don't we? We do testings, and then we talk about the high probability. Well, when it comes to things about God, maybe there's a little bit of testing that needs to go on there as well, you know, as in Jesus said, if any man will do my words or hear my words and do them, my Father and I will come and make our abode with him and sup with him. And it seems to me that the challenge is there for those that want the challenge, or accept the challenge, to find out. You know, we talk about, I'm an agnostic. You know, where do we get the word agnostic from? Well, the word agnostic comes from the Greek gnostic, 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 which is to do with knowledge. But to make it a negative, you just stick an A in front of it, and you've got agnostic. So you don't have the knowledge, you're not too sure about things. So yeah, it's the same with another word that people bandy around as well, isn't there? There's the word theist, a person who believes in God. And of course, if you put it into the negative, atheist, just stick an A in front. What you can do with a lot of Greek words, just bang an A in front of them, they go from a positive word into a negative word. So, but the journey between the two, you know, the journey between the two, between the A and the word theist, atheist, there's a gap there, isn't there? You know, same with agnostic. There's a gap there between the A and the G. Agnostic, you know, and there's a journey between positive and negative, between black and white, between yes and no, between life and death, between love and hate. There's a relationship and a journey, and it's whether or not you're willing to take that journey. So when people ask me honestly and say, but how do you know? I simply say, well, if you read the words of Jesus, especially in John's Gospel, have a read at John's Gospel, and if you do the things that Jesus says, or any of the Gospels, you know, you do the things that Jesus says. Jesus said, I and the Father will come and make our abode with you. It's not just like as in the psychological or the experiential sense, you know, you do something and therefore you have a working knowledge of it. When it comes to revelation, when it comes to God, I've hit the word the revelation already. When it comes to things about God, and you do the things that Jesus said, it's not just you have a working knowledge of things he says, but you have not just the experience, but the personal revelation of another person, as in God will visit with you. Well, that's heavy, isn't it? That's massive. But that's going from like the negative to the positive. It's making that journey. It's having that. It's taking that test, if you like. And so, if you're honestly asking the question, how do you know? Take the test. Do the things that Jesus says, and see what happens. It'll be more than just a psychological awareness. There'll be a spiritual revelation and a divine visitation. You'll hear and know the very voice and the presence of God. God bless you. 223 nationalities. God said he loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. All 223 nationalities. Have a great week. Hey, I'm getting married in 2 days. Hey, wow, that's going to be big, isn't it? That's a transition in itself, isn't it? You know, going from single to getting married. That doesn't happen overnight, does it? Yeah, it takes a few months to get there. Going from being a widower to being married, yeah, so that's a journey. Hey, anyway, next time I talk to you, I'll probably be married. What do you think about that then? Yeah. Agnostic to Gnostic. There you go. Atheist to theist. Unbeliever to believer. Single to married. It's a journey. Take the test.